Mang Hilsna, that's greetings in Danish. Danish is one of the many languages you can learn with the Mango language learning system. That's mango like the fruit. Access to Mango is free with your library membership. It's fun, easy to use, and you can even use it on the go by downloading the Mango app to your mobile device. The Mango teaching method mimics the natural process in which people learn by presenting material using practical conversations. Lessons include the 4 conversational components critical to effective communication in a foreign language: vocabulary, pronunciation, grammar, and culture. Let me show you how to access Mango and how it works. To access Mango on a PC, go to the library website. Click on eLibrary and look for the link in the list of featured databases. Have your library card number handy to secure your free access to Mango. Create an account with an email address and password, and Mango will track your progress. There are over 50 languages to choose from. For example, European languages like French, German, and Italian. Asian languages like Chinese, Korean, and Japanese, and even lesser-known languages like Punjabi and Urdu. You can even have fun with your children learning Pirate. English as a second language courses are offered for Spanish speakers as well as in 16 other languages. The most requested language by our library patrons is South American Spanish, so let me show you what a lesson looks like. There are 2 levels of learning. Learn the basics in Unit 1, which covers practical skills like greetings and asking for directions. And then Unit 2 lessons build conversational skills. Native speakers demonstrate the correct pronunciation of words and phrases that you see on the screen. Unit 1 includes 10 chapters with several lessons included in each chapter. Navigation is easy and lessons can be repeated as many times as you like. Hover your mouse pointer over a word and you'll be shown in text how to pronounce the word, so you get audio and visual cues to help you learn. You can even record your voice to see how closely your pronunciation matches the speaker. Cultural notes are presented throughout the lesson and give you insight into when and how to use certain phrases. Mango even has a translator feature, which is great to use when you're traveling. As I mentioned, you can also access Mango on your mobile device. First, you'll need to set up a Mango account by accessing Mango through the library website. Then download the Mango app from Google Play or the Apple App Store, depending on what kind of device that you have. A tip to iPad users, you'll need to choose iPhone app only when you go to the App Store on your iPad to find that Mango Languages Library Edition app. Once you've downloaded the app, you can complete lessons during your lunch hour, while waiting in your doctor's office, or just when you have 30 minutes to just sit and practice a lesson. Mango is just one of the many free online resources offered by your Cobb Library. You can learn more about these resources by going to our website and taking a look at eLibrary Collection. Don't go away, we'll be right back with more of the Library Show.
Oh, look, a redhead.
Staring contest.
You still got it.
I know.
Come alive with the forest.
The dad was cute.
You were looking right at us.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
Welcome back to the Library Show. I'm Julia, and I'm here today with Terry Capote from the Cobb Library Foundation. And Terry, you're here to give us a little rundown all about what's going on in the foundation. So tell us what's
I
up.
am. I'm all about the reports today. So we just came off of our cornerstone fundraising event of the year where we raise the bulk of the money throughout the year that helps to support the library system. The Booked for the Evening Gala with Emily Giffen we had on October 16th at the Marietta Country Club, and it was a wonderful night to bring out all of the people from all over the community who love and support the library system, and to get their money. They brought their checkbooks, and we had a great speaker. Emily Giffen is an Atlanta resident, and she is at the top of the heap right now in her work, and she was just really entertaining. And her mother actually was a librarian, so she was very committed to the library. And we had, of course, a silent auction to raise additional funds. Our chair for the gala was Mike Plant from the Atlanta Braves, and Cobb County, as you know, is always talking about the Braves. They're coming, and so he was a wonderful host and provided us with some wonderful auction items. So we were able to extend our goals, reach beyond our goals for the foundation gala. So we are really looking forward to the next one coming up.
Okay, tell us all about that.
We normally have the gala in the fall, and opportunity just fell into our lap. And Steve Barry has offered to do a fundraiser for us, so we will be having a spring gala on April 25th, which is a Saturday, again at Marietta Country Club with Steve Barry. He's got a commitment to not only to Cobb County, but to the Cobb County Library System. His father is a presence at the Mountain View Library, and so he was really eager to come and help us out, and so we're very excited about that. And then we're just kind of planning our events for the rest of the year for 2015 as we're ramping up. So in January 21st, we've got Lynn Cullen, who just released the paperback version of Mrs. Poe, which is a wonderful story. In March, we've got Susan Puckett. We're still trying to fine-tune the dates, but she is an AJC reporter who is very well known for her food writing, and so we're going to try to do something interesting with local restaurants with Susan Puckett. So that's what we've got coming up for 2015.
Sounds like an exciting slate of programs.
So far, we're very excited. And, you know, the fundraisers that we do enable us to support the projects that the library is very involved with. And
you presented a check for the library system.
We did.
Right,
we presented a very large check for $27,000, and that is our commitment.
Awesome.
And of course, that's not always the end of the commitment, because we're always looking for opportunities to support the library system in whatever way that we can. And often people ask, well, what can I do? What can I, as a person, as a resident of Cobb County, do to help the libraries? And I've got your answers. As we're moving into holiday shopping time, and so many people are shopping online now on Amazon. They can go to smile.amazon.com and choose the Cobb Library Foundation as their charity of choice. And whatever they buy on Amazon, 0.5% of that total will come to the Library Foundation, which allows us to then continue to support the library system.
And I know so many people who do their holiday shopping on Amazon, so that's a great tip for folks, and that's such a good way for you to raise some money for the library system. So
right.
Awesome.
And, you know, people think 0.5%, that doesn't sound like much, but it adds up, and it does help us. And that's enabled us to buy some of the materials for summer reading program, for the GEMS program.
It's near and dear to my heart.
It's enabled us to continue to support that. And then other people want to know, well, what can I do personally? And, well, I'll tell you, you can join the club.
Tell us about the club.
Okay.
It's new, right?
It is new. It's a new program. And what it is, it's just kind of a way to just reach out to all of the patrons of the library who want to support. They want to give their time, and they want to give their donations as they can. So what we've got is the club, which is the Cobb Library United Boosters Program. It's not a membership. It's just a way to support financially the library throughout the year. So your contribution goes for an entire year, but it also allows you to receive special emails, information about events going on at the library, and opportunities to volunteer. There are book sales twice a year, and as you know, you're always looking for people to come and volunteer and to help with the book sales. And this is a way to get into the volunteer pool. the Cobb Library Foundation events, we're often looking for volunteers to help us run those events. And so the club, join the club, Cobb Library United Boosters, is a way for you to do that. To find out about this, you can go to our website at cobblibraryfoundation.org, and you'll find all of the information there. I believe you can probably link to it from the library website as well.
Yes.
So, and I'm always here to call if you have any questions and want to know what's going on. At 770-528-2196. And also my email is cobblibraryfoundation@cobbcat.org. And I'm always here to answer questions. And we're always looking to, bring the community into the library so that we all work together to support our library system.
And we do appreciate all of that support. Like you said, people volunteer their time, they give their money. So all of that is definitely appreciated, not just by the foundation. The library system benefits so much from what you do. So thank you.
We're all in this together.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you.
All right, stick around. We've got more of the library show coming up after this.
Connor is struggling in school.
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
Why don't you understand me?
I do. This is what it feels like for kids with learning and attention issues. Redirecting to understood.org.
Well, library affectation in my life was pronounced and deep. I grew up in Litchfield, Connecticut, and our library was the Oliver Wilcott Library, which was about a mile from my house. And I spent more time there almost than I spent in school. I went there every single day after school. And it was my babysitter. It was the hub of my social life. I had my first kiss on the stone wall outside the library. I learned to read in that library. So the first word I ever read was the word red, R-E-D, and it was in a book of Swedish fairy tales that my mom had gotten out of the library, and she was reading it to me. And I remember sitting on her lap, and all of a sudden that word just grew out of the page at me, and it just looked familiar. And I said, "Does that say red?" And I remember her being very excited. She said, "Yes, you just read a word." And that was a big breakthrough, like the Rosetta Stone for me in my life. And then when I became an adult and I moved to New York City, and I was working to become a short story writer and a novelist, I wrote at the New York Public Library about 5 days a week. And that was my refuge. I lived in a tiny apartment, crowded and loud, and there was no privacy, and I would go to that great room in the New York Public Library, and I wrote my first 2 books there. So I cannot overstate the importance of libraries in my life. Mrs. Buckland and Mrs. Cooley, they were the librarians of my childhood. Mrs. Buckland was young and pretty and blonde and wore mini skirts, which I thought was very scandalous at the time. And Mrs. Cooley looked exactly as one would picture a librarian looking. They were just extremely kind, and they always had something new, and they had just the right amount of discipline and also the sense of liberty of exploring the stacks, and I adored them both. And I love it when people, it's funny because people always apologize when they come to a reading and they don't have my book to sign, and they'll say, "I'm really sorry I didn't buy your book, but I read it at the library," and I just want to kiss them and say, "You should never apologize to me for getting books out of a library. This is the one of the fundamental aspects of civilization. Bravo, I'm delighted for you." So I've heard that some of my books are on waiting lists, which is always a very sweet feeling as well.
Hi, I'm Beth at the Schweitzer Library, and I do toddler story time. So for 18 to 36 months, and I like to do a variety of songs and books and coloring and stamps and bubbles and everything in between. I like to do story time. I love seeing the enthusiasm of the kids. Like sometimes you don't necessarily know if they're listening or not, because 2-year-olds, they can be a little bit short attention span, but then they'll come in, it's like, oh, we've been practicing, or they'll suddenly make a connection that the bear said roar, and you're just, oh, they really are getting it. And especially when they're coming week after week, you can just see the progress. Like some of these that start as just babies are just growing and talking, and their vocabulary is just immense and expanding by the day.
I love to bring Jonathan to story time. It's great interaction with other kids. He loves the books, the bubbles, the songs, and Beth does a great job.
I like to use themes for my story times. This season we're doing an alphabet theme, so like A is for all aboard, B is for books, which we did for library card sign-up month, C is for colors, D is for deciduous, etc. So this week was G is for games and toys. And I just like to choose books that are short, colorful. I'd rather do 10 really short books than try to read War and Peace or something. So I just try to keep it fun, try to keep it interesting, try to find ones where I can ask questions or we can do motions or add things.
Way up high in the apple tree, 2 little apples smile at me. I shook that tree as hard as I could. Down came the apples.
Usually, I think parents and their kids should come to story time because not only is it a social outlet so their kids can play together and the parents can talk to each other, but also I think it promotes a love of reading, a love of literacy. They can really interact and get to love books and see, oh, Miss Beth read this, we can get this book or we can get another book, and just opens up the world that pretty much anything they're interested in, they can find a book and they can be excited about it. So some people ask me, what should I read to my child? And I say anything that you're excited about. And really, reading doesn't just have to be books. It could be at the grocery store, just talking to them, really, experiencing language with them. So I say books that you're excited about. I personally like books with lots of pictures, lots of sound effects, lots of bright colors. So you can really ask the questions like, what color is the truck? Or what does the dog say? And these are just ways of interacting with your child that it's so much more about sharing the love of books and also sharing that time together to really build memories and build that relationship between books and you. So thanks for coming to Storytime with me, and stay tuned for more of The Library Show.
Don't worry, 74 people were picked before me in the NFL draft.
To fight childhood obesity, United Way and the NFL are helping kids play at least 60 minutes a day.
Okay, time for the team obstacle course. Yay!
What this place needs is more healthy kids. To get involved or donate, go to unitedway.org/play60.
Now I get it.
Hi, I'm Joe, and I'm here today to talk to you about a favorite author and his books. And as some people know, you may not know, but some people know that I am not a fiction book reader. I read nonfiction, but because I am a librarian, I have to read all books. So there's one particular author that I really like, and his name is John Grisham. And John Grisham appeals to both men and women. So wives, if you're looking for something, a new author for your husband, try John Grisham. And John Grisham is an author, but that was not his first passion. He wanted to be a baseball player. His profession is a lawyer, but he always wanted to be a baseball player. Then one day he was sitting in the courtroom and he saw an innocent man being convicted while the guilty party was sitting in the courtroom. So that, he became interested in being a lawyer. And needless to say, he is from Mississippi, my home state. But, he started to write. His first book was A Time to Kill, and that's the most popular book of all times. When he first wrote it, nobody wanted to publish it. But as you can see, it has been published, it's been a bestseller, a movie has been made, and everybody knows about A Time to Kill. And if you read his books, most of his books are about lawyers, the courtrooms, the jurors, the jury, and that sort of thing. Now, the next book, A Time to Kill, was about a man who killed two guys who molested his daughter. He went to trial. And Jake Brigance is the famous lawyer. Now there's almost like a sequel to his book that's been out about a year, and it's called Sycamore Row. And that's also an interesting book. It's interesting because Jake Brigance is again a lawyer in this book. And the book is about a rich man who has lung cancer, so he decides to kill himself. He hung himself, but the day before he hung himself, he changed his will. And in his will, he had written out all of his children, his grandchildren, everybody in his family was written out of the will, and he left everything to his maid. So just as in Time to Kill, there's the black and the white. So this is going to be interesting. I hate to tell you that I haven't finished it, but you would be interested in it. And he did write books about baseball. Those I did not particularly like, but if you like baseball, you may like his baseball books because that's his first love. He also has written a comedy called Skipping Christmas. That one was also made of a movie, and you've probably seen it. The Cranks, they were going to skip Christmas, and you just have to watch the movie, how their neighbors treated them. And he's written some young adult, a few of those Theodore Boone young adult books. But I'd like to say that he does have a new one coming out, and the new person is a female hero, and it's called Gray Mountain. I don't think it's been published yet, but it should be coming out soon. And if you want a nonfiction and you want to read a nonfiction by this author, he has written An Innocent Man, and that is also a book about an innocent person being charged for something that they did not do. Now, he has a lot of other books. I won't name them, but another one that has been made into a movie is The Pelican Brief. And that one is kind of political. The Appeal is political. If you've always wondered how people get into office, read The Appeal. And another one that has been made into a movie is The Client. And that is a pretty good movie too. But all of his books are about, lawyers and justice and injustice. And it appeals to men and women. And he also has the teen books. So John Grisham, if you've never checked him out, he's a good author to check out. And my name is Joe Lehman. You can find me every day at the South Cobb Regional Library in Mableton, Georgia.
Well, I spent a lot of time in libraries when I was a kid. I lived in small towns all over the South, and there wasn't a whole lot to do at times. And my mother did not believe in television. And I had a bunch of brothers and sisters, and we would go to the library and check out the Max, whatever the Max was, and go home with just a pile of books and then read. And we just grew up surrounded by books from the library. We used to love to go on Saturday morning, go to the library for shows or readings, kids' books or whatever. And it was a very big part of my childhood. One recent story, after Katrina hit the Gulf Coast in Mississippi, my wife and I went down to, took a bunch of volunteers down to help with the cleanup, help with the rebuilding, and realized that the libraries are not getting a lot of attention. Other types of groups were working, housing, and businesses and churches and all that. And we went to the library in Biloxi, Mississippi, and it was a mess. We went to the library in Pass Christian and a couple other libraries. And at the time, we were raising a lot, turned out to be a lot of money. We were able to raise almost $9 million. Most of it went for individuals for housing and needs, but we were able to earmark a lot of that money for libraries on the Gulf Coast. And because we obviously are very close to books and love to see libraries prosper. Well, there were a lot of books in the early days, 20 years ago now, with the first few books I published. There was a lot of word of mouth, especially with The Firm that came out in 1991. It became a word of mouth bestseller because of two groups, independent bookstores and librarians. And the book was passed around. The librarians ordered the book, they recommended the book, they kept it on the shelves, and they bought more and more copies. And over the years I've had people say, you know, your new book's out, I'm number 142 on the list of the library. And I always say, go tell your librarian to buy some more books, okay? Let's get the shelf full. There's no sense waiting that long. I know there's a lot of traffic with the books at the library. That's even more important today because, you know, we worry about kids reading less. There's so many alternatives, diversions. There's so many things kids can do. I worry about how many children read. The numbers don't look good. You know, overall, for all of us, we buy fewer books, read fewer books, and I think libraries are more important today than they were when I was a kid. To teach kids the value of spending hours lost in a great book.